Update on the latest news, sports, business and entertainment at 5:20 p.m. EDT Immigration Politics. Republicans risking conservative backlash over immigration. New York AP. The push toward immigration votes in the House is intensifying the divide among Republicans on one of the party's most animating issues. And it's fueling concerns a voter backlash could cost the GOP control of the House in November. To many conservatives, the compromise immigration proposal released by House Speaker Paul Ryan is little more than amnesty. The tension threatens to exacerbate the GOP's political challenges this fall, when their majorities in the House and Senate could be at risk. Passage of the bill could alienate conservatives and depress turnout at a time when enthusiasm among Democrats is high. Yet scuttling the bill could turn off independent voters, an especially important bloc for House Republicans competing in dozens of districts that Democrat Hillary Clinton won in the 2016 presidential election. Immigration Asylum. New directive takes aim at immigrants fleeing gang violence. Tijuana, Mexico. AP. A directive by Attorney General Jeff Sessions imposes new rules on asylum seekers coming to the U.S. They are generally no longer allowed to request asylum on the grounds of gang violence. The decision could have far-reaching consequences because of the sheer volume of people fleeing gang violence, which is so pervasive in Central America that merely stepping foot in the wrong neighborhood can lead to death. Many immigrants congregated on the border this week told the Associated Press that they were coming here to flee gangs in Mexico and Central America. They were undeterred by the directive because the situation is so dire in their home countries. Venezuela nightclub brawl. 17 killed after nightclub brawl in Caracas, Venezuela. AP. Venezuela's government says 17 people were killed Saturday after a nightclub brawl led to a stampede. Interior Minister Nestor Reverol said 8 minors were among those killed. Another 5 people were injured. He said a tear gas device exploded after the fight broke out during a graduation celebration at Los Cotorros Club, triggering the stampede. He also said 7 people were arrested, including the owner of the club and the person who is believed to have launched the explosive device. McCain seat despite cancer. McCain's maverick ways press on and tweets. Phoenix, AP. Sen. John McCain's legacy was thrust into focus nearly 1 year ago when he announced his brain cancer diagnosis. The 6-term senator and decorated Vietnam War veteran is now fighting the illness from his beloved Arizona. He's also filling the role of one of the few congressional Republican voices to publicly rebuke Trump administration decisions. McCain's maverick ways press on in statements and tweets from Arizona. Some Arizona Republicans criticized discussion about the future of McCain's seat as inappropriate and distasteful. State law requires the governor to fill a Senate vacancy with an appointee of the same political party who will serve until the next general election. Reflections around his life, legacy and status as a national political figure are re-emerging due to a new HBO documentary and his latest memoir, The Restless Wave. Vatican abortion. Pope denounces abortion as modern-day white glove. Eugenics. Vatican City, AP. Pope Francis has denounced abortion as the white glove equivalent of the Nazi-era eugenics program and urged families to accept the children that God gives them. Francis spoke off the cuff Saturday to a meeting of an Italian family association. The Vatican didn't immediately provide a transcript of his remarks, but the ANSA news agency and the SIR agency of the Italian Bishops' Conference quoted him as denouncing prenatal tests that can result in parents choosing to terminate a pregnancy if the fetus is malformed or suffering other problems. The agencies quoted Francis as saying, "Last century, the whole world was scandalized by what the Nazis did to purify the race. Today, we do the same thing but with white gloves. He urged families to accept children, as God gives them to us. Russia taxi crash, 8 pedestrians injured by taxi on sidewalk near Red Square, Moscow. AP. Police in Moscow say 8 people have been injured when a taxi crashed into pedestrians on a sidewalk near Red Square. Police say the driver in the crash Saturday has been detained. Preliminary information indicated the driver lost control of the vehicle. There were no immediate details on the severity of the pedestrians' injuries. The accident took place on Alinka Street, about 200 meters, 650 feet, from Red Square in Moscow's famous gum shopping arcade. Russia is currently hosting the World Cup, and Moscow is one of 11 Russian cities where tournament games are being played. Cooling towers implosion. Cooling towers set for implosion at Florida power plant, Jacksonville, Florida. AP. 2 462-foot-tall cooling towers are set to be imploded in Florida. A total wrecking. Johns River Power Park in Jacksonville. They will be the second tallest cooling towers to be imploded in the world. The release says Jacksonville Electric Authority and Florida Power. The project is expected to be completed in April 2020. Preparation took about 10 weeks for the implosion, which is expected to last less than 12 seconds. More than 1,500 pounds of dynamite and 12,000 linear feet of detonation cord are being used. The St. Johns River Power Park, a 1,264-megawatt coal-fired electric plant, was closed in January. U.S. Open. Mickelson frustrated. Mickelson swats moving ball with putter at Open, Southampton, NY. AP. Phil Mickelson's frustrations are getting the best of him at the U.S. Open, to the point he hit a moving ball with his putter. It was a shocking display on the 13th green at Shinnecock Hills on Saturday. Mickelson's bogey putt from above the hole ran by the cup and was headed down a slope when he ran over and swatted it back toward the hole as the ball was still moving. Mickelson is celebrating his 48th birthday, and it's one he is sure to remember. With a 2-shot penalty, he was given a sextuple bogey 10 on the hole, and was 10 over for his round. It was reminiscent of John Daly hitting a moving ball at Pinehurst No. 2 in the 1999 U.S. Open. Germany. Tightrope wedding, vows in the air. German couple married in tightrope wedding, Berlin. AP. A couple in eastern Germany have gotten married in a swing dangling from a motorcycle atop a tightrope, 14 meters, 46 feet, above the ground. The German news agency dpa reported that a pastor standing in a cage atop a fire service ladder presided over the wedding of Nicole Backhouse and Jens Knorr in the town of Stassfurt on Saturday. The couple exchanged rings in the air but, for safety's sake, waited until they were back on the ground to kiss. More than 3,000 people watched the wedding in the sky, which took place during a local festival. The tightrope was stretched between the town wall and a tower, and the motorbike was ridden by Falco Traber, a member of a family of artists. AP. U.S. deputies shot Kansas. The latest slain Kansas deputies were both parents. Kansas City, Con. AP. Authorities say 2 Kansas deputies who were fatally shot while transporting an inmate between jail and a court hearing both leave behind children. Wyandotte County Sheriff Smudge Kelly Bailiff said at a news conference Saturday that 44-year-old Sheriff's Deputy Teresa King had 3 children and 35-year-old Deputy Patrick Rohrer had 2. Terry Ziegler, the police chief of Kansas City, Kansas, said he couldn't release the name of the inmate suspected of shooting them Friday because he hasn't been charged. The inmate was also shot, and Ziegler said the last he heard, he was in stable condition. Authorities say the inmate apparently overpowered the deputies in a gated area behind the Kansas City, Kansas, courthouse and shot the deputies, possibly with one of their own guns. Ziegler says the deputies were taking the inmate from the courthouse back to jail, not the other way around, as police initially reported. A candlelight vigil will be held at 8 p.m. Sunday in front of City Hall, 6:15 a.m. A second sheriff's deputy has died after being shot while an inmate was being transported to a Kansas City jail. Kansas City, Kansas, police confirmed that 44-year-old Deputy Teresa King died early Saturday from injuries suffered when an inmate overpowered the two deputies. The shooting happened Friday as an unidentified inmate was being moved. Police say it is possible that King and the other slain deputy, 35-year-old Patrick Rohrer, were shot with their own firearm, but police gave no other details. Both officers were with the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Department. King had 13 years of service and Rohrer had been with the department for 7 years. Copyright 2018 The Associated Press. All rights reserved. This material may not be published, broadcast, written or redistributed.